Hey there, this is Chris Buckholz, and in this video, we are going to be talking about maintaining the healthier chops. For that, I have three things to talk about. Number one is breathing. Number two is hard day, easy day practice. And number three is listen to your body. So, it may not occur to us, but breathing has a great deal to do with the efficiency of the muscles in our embouchure. And basically, if we can get a large volume, a large quantity of air up to our lips through them to make them vibrate, your lips are going to vibrate better, you're going to get a better sound, it's going to be easier to play. Your embouchure is going to be under less tension under those conditions than if you're getting kind of a weak buzz situation. So how do we work on that? How do we encourage our air column to get up to and through our embouchure? Through this little device here, a Portrex Inspiron. There we go. I've got it set at about 12 o'clock here, and I will buzz for maybe half an hour on this thing before I even pick up the trombone. Can't do that if I'm driving to a gig. I usually just buzz on a mouthpiece, but if I'm home, I can buzz on this thing for about half an hour before I even pick up the trombone. It's great because if you buzz on it and you get the ball to go up in the tube, you will know that you're moving a sufficient quantity of air to make your embouchure vibrate well. And as an ancillary, it will be under less tension than if you're getting a weak buzz. So here's a weak buzz. Won't make the ball go up in the tube. And here is a good strong buzz. We're going to make the ball go up in the tube. So I'm just, keeping an eye on the ball in the tube and making sure that it's staying up as I'm buzzing, getting a good, strong volume of air through the embouchure to make it buzz. So it's a really helpful tool for your long-term embouchure health. And then, of course, just make sure that you're taking in large quantities of air as you play. That needs to be a habit for you. And it doesn't need to be, you don't need to be uncomfortable with the amount of air you, but as Arnold Jacobs put it, you need to have a large, comfortable breath. All right, on to number two, hard day, easy day practice. You need to map out your practice sessions. You can't just leave it up to, you're gonna go in the practice room for a couple hours and play through some stuff and that's gonna be sufficient. You really need to map out your practice, what you need to practice, even spots, individual couple measure spots that you're not playing with 100% excellence, and work on them slowly and build up tempo so that you can play them as well as the other material in whatever passage it is. So you need to map out your practice, and as a part of that, you can map out hard day, easy day practice. Have a day where you really work on upper register material, and then have an easier day following that. Now, having said that, I know as a professional that there are days where I have very difficult concerts coming up, I've got a recital coming up, and that chews up a lot of my chops, and I may not have the opportunity to have an easier day. I may have other ensemble obligations and even multiple ensemble obligations. There have been times, it's not often, but a couple times a year I'll have maybe 4 orchestral services on a day. That's the life of a freelancer. And so you have to be able to handle that and deal with that. And one of the things I'll do if I have a particularly difficult day and I feel my chops are going is I will rest the next day. So map out your practice so you've got harder days and easier days. And then the next thing I have to say is listen to your body. So listen to what's going on in your sound, listen to what's going on with your response. If things are really getting tired, you probably need to take some time off. If you can't take some time off, I'm going to give you some ways to deal with that. But respect your body, respect what your chops are telling you. If your chops feel chapped, sore, bruised, if your upper register is going, if your soft playing is going, if your response is going, those are all clues that your lip tissue needs some time to regenerate and become fresh. And you'll become stronger if you give it that rest. If you don't give it that rest, things will get more and more run down, and you can get into a situation where you're actually tearing things. And I have seen this happen. So I know it's there, I know it's reality, and we need to avoid that at all costs. So, what can you do? Let's say you've got a recital coming up, and I mean, I encounter this all the time. I play a couple of recitals a year, and my chops always get ground down before a recital. Okay, so here's how I deal with it. Number one is ice. So if I feel like my chops are going and I know that I can't take a day off the next day, I will put an ice pack on my lips for about 10 to 15 minutes before I go to bed. Second thing I'll do is take Advil. Ibuprofen is a really good anti-inflammatory for muscles, and usually if I ice down my lip and take some Advil, that will help me function the next day. And the last thing is, got a tube right here, arnica cream. Arnica is a naturally occurring botanic. It's an herbal homeopathic remedy for inflammation, and it works fabulously. If you get a bruise and you put this on there, the bruise will clear up in maybe even 24 hours. If your chops are getting swollen, putting this on there will definitely help with the healing process. It's a really wonderful tool for us as brass players, so I just put it on like you would put on Blistex or chapstick, but it has very good anti-inflammatory properties and healing properties for muscle tissue. So to recap, breathing, very important to maintaining your long-term embouchure health, believe it or not. Get a large column of air under low pressure up to your chops to make them buzz on a Portex Inspiron. You can also buzz on a breath builder. I imagine Mark Fisher's going to talk about that in his basics video, so I'm leaving that one alone. Hard day, easy day practice. If you feel things going, take a day off if you can. And listen to your body. If your sound is going, upper register is going, response is going, these are all clues that we probably need to take some time off. I studied with a trumpet player who was assistant trumpet in the Philadelphia Orchestra when I was in high school, and I was a trumpet player back then, and his name was Don McComas. And Don was all about this stuff. Basically, Don didn't have a set amount of time that he practiced. His playing revolved around his rehearsals and performances with the Philadelphia Orchestra. And most of the time, if there was heavy brass playing, he was warming up for 15 minutes and playing the rehearsal, and that was it. He was not practicing at all during those times. Ian Bousfield, the former principal trombonist of the Vienna Phil, said people are surprised when I say this, but basically he hadn't practiced really at all since he joined the Vienna Phil. There's simply not time to practice. Your chops will go if you're spending 2, 3, 4 hours a day trying to practice and hold down one of these chairs. Now, that's not always true. There are easier concerts and harder concerts, but it's not like he's saying, yeah, I'm going to practice 4 hours a day and then I'm going to go in and play this rehearsal. Don McComas told me that he would practice 2 hours only if he had nothing else on the books, even time around there. So like if he had a big rehearsal coming up, he would not practice 2 hours the day before. It was really kind of a standalone, rare event that he would practice 2 hours a day. So I'm not saying don't practice a lot, don't practice 2 hours a day, but you need to listen to your body and do what it needs to do to recuperate and maintain the health of your embouchure. And I'm saying this as someone who has not always heeded that, somebody who can practice 8 hours a day and spent many, many months of my life practicing 8 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 6 hours a day. And yeah, I've been lucky, I've never torn anything up, but there is that potential there and you need to be aware of it. You can always email me your questions at cbuckholz@unm.edu, and I wish you the best of luck with your career and the health of your chops.